I trust that everybody's done by now. I didn't want to say it before we started eating, but we weren't going to start until I got done. But so we're ready to go, I think. Again, as we get started tonight, we want to thank all of you for being here. I'm Harlan Hutchison from KDY Radio in West Plains. As usual, we're going to start this with a little commercial for ourselves. The Ozark Radio Network hosts this event, and we're made up of KKDY, which is a modern country station, Q94 classic rock, KUKU is classic country, the Fox with top 40 pop music, KWPM, AM, and FM, which is actually KWPM is the flagship station that's been around since pretty much World War II. We cover a large section of South Central Missouri and North Central Arkansas. Over the course of a year, and the reason we do this and wanted to do this is because sports is a big deal with us. We cover or broadcast over the course of a year's time about 400 sporting events when you combine all of the radio stations that we have. Between pro baseball, college basketball, football, volleyball, high school football, volleyball, and basketball, we cover a lot over the course of the year. So we cover most of the teams that are here tonight. Not all of them. Most of them are here in our general area. The only exceptions probably would be for Mountain Home and for Highland. We do some volleyball, but football not so much because of the conference thing and state line and all that. But all of you that are here tonight are a part of our geographical area, and that is why we wanted you and want you to be a part of this, because we do have crossover in many other respects. And why all these respective schools, we wanted this to be, when we started doing it, a co-ed event. We wanted to do something where we have a thing for both boys and girls, and the common denominator with all these schools here is you all play football and you all play volleyball. So that works out very, very well. Before we go any further along, a huge thank you to the staff at Colton's. Great stuff. Could we have a hand for our When my wife and I go out to eat on occasion, I'll say, "Where do you want to go?" And she said, "I don't care." And I'll say, "How about so-and-so?" I say, you can tell when your wife doesn't want to go somewhere. And so then I'll suggest 2 or 3 other places. No. So then I just give it up and say, "How about going to Colton's?" "Okay, let's go." So Colton's is a favorite destination of ours, and they do a great job. They've got a location here and also in Mountain Home. A thank you to all of you, all these schools that are here tonight, and the people that we work with on a yearly basis. And of course, this is an opportunity to thank them, but more than that, the young people who are here tonight to be honored. And you may wonder why you're here or why you got chosen. Well, there could be any number of reasons. But just to kind of fill in the blanks, you're here, of course, athletics is a big part of that. But the question about how are they selected, the coaches do this. It's not us. The coaches at these respective schools have chosen these athletes they can bring to our banquet here. And the criteria that they use is completely open-ended. It can be athletic prowess, an achievement. It could be simply that this person that you've chosen to bring is a great teammate, an example for other people that they play with, or it could be just they could be an active member of their community, and they could serve as a very good role model. And this is a big thing for us. They serve as a very good role model for people around them, and for especially little kids around them. Now, this last one, you don't think, if you're an 18-year-old kid or whatever you are, you don't think about the fact that you're watched. by people younger than you. But you are, if you will think back to most of you when you were in junior high school or whatever, it's not hard to remember that those kids that you saw that were juniors, seniors, that you went to see play football on Friday night or watch them play basketball. Some of them were just almost kind of like bigger than life to you. Now to them it probably wasn't any big thing, but it was to me. I can remember plenty of guys like that. And the fact that you are serving as a role model to these young kids is as important a thing that you do and that you achieve as you play high school sports. We've got so many examples in front of us mainly because of television. People who act like idiots, and unfortunately we see that way too much. What we do have at the high school level, and that's where it really starts. Instead of emulating what they see on TV, they behave correctly. They honor their coaches and do what they're told, and they're just good kids. And those are the kind of kids that we have here tonight, and that we look forward to having in many years to come. So, just to kind of sum it up real quick, not everybody got invited, came tonight. That's going to be the case every year. And hopefully they'll be able to be here next year, but we are thankful for each and every one of you that are here this evening. We're going to get to our presentation of awards, and this goes fairly quick. And at the end of it, we will announce who our player of the year for volleyball and football is, and then we'll have also our coaches of the year, which we're happy to do. So let's get it started, and we will begin. We have some coaches here who haven't been here before, and I had a lot of them call me and say, well, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do this? How long am I supposed to talk? And that sort of thing. Well, I thought, well, let's do it the easy way. We'll have some old pros come up first and show you how it's done. So, and the first name that came in my mind, well, he'll come up here in just a little bit. Well, let's start with West Plains, okay? We'll do volleyball, then we'll do... Yeah, I was talking about you, didn't you, Steve? Yeah, I was headed your direction, though. Let's start with volleyball, and let's bring up to the podium the representatives for the Lady Ozark volleyball team. Coach Kaylee Lyons, and her players are Kelly Wiedemann and Kendra Davidson.
Okay, I brought Kelly and Kendra. Kelly was our kill leader this year. Kendra was our assist leader, our setter, who ran a 5-1 for us. We, as a team, I had 8 seniors, 7 of them who played, but Lily tore her ACL, so she was out this year. Kelly was honorable mention all district, first team all conference, hammer of the week for Ozone, Colton's player of the week, and then first team academic all conference. Kendra was second team all conference, honorable mention all district, first team academic all conference, and then as a team we went 22-11. It's the first time since we joined the OC that we had a winning record since 2001 in the Ozark Conference. It's the most wins West Plains Volleyball has had since 2003, and the first time over 15 since 2015. Like I said, I'm missing 8 that are graduating, and then I'm also losing Morgan Mulford because she's moving, but so it'll be hard to replace. It'll be super young next year, but these are the 2 that I brought, and our 2 leaders of our team. Yes.
Would you guys, Kendra, would you come over here, please? We'll get your photo taken, okay? Failed to mention And yes, after you get your award, and move over here to the right, and Ed will take your photo. By the way, speaking of Ed, Ed is taking photos from the event, and he is also videotaping this event, and it'll be on our website, so you can see how good you look here this evening. Now with that, speaking of looking good, let's bring up the head football coach for West Plains High School, Steve Airy, and his players Andrew Wheeler and David Simpson.
Thanks, Double H. Congratulations, athletes. Two guys I'm bringing up, West Plains finished the season 8-3, and West Plains football has really turned around in the last 4 years. And a large part of it is these two guys standing right here. Dagan to the far left, Dagan Simpson is a 2-year starter for us at guard. He's been all conference and all district the last 2 years. He was voted this year as a captain by his teammates. One of the honors he can take with him is he's blocked 2 consecutive years for 2 2,000-yard rushers. And if you guys don't know what that is, Coach Swalford, how many 2,000-yard rushers have you had? 0. And I hadn't had any either. This is my 30th year until the last 2 seasons. And he's got it done up front for 2 different backs, 2 different years. And that's because those guys up front are special. Rewriting the record books at West Plains. Both of those guys broke records. Dagan played with tremendous effort and heart, and we're going to miss him. His future plans are hopefully maybe play some football, and he bounces around wanting to be a welder as well. He's leaning toward that field as well. But anyway, Dagan Simpson. Guy to the right is Andrew Wheeler. Andrew finished up the season with 81 tackles, 6 interceptions, 7 pass breakups. He's a 3-year starter at West Plains at free safety. He's been first team all district, first team all conference the past 2 seasons. He's also a 3-time academic all conference and 3-time academic all state athlete. Finished his career with 16 interceptions, which I don't know if we have records. That's incredible. It's phenomenal. So both these guys are phenomenal athletes. He's a very talented young man. He's going to pursue pharmacy, and he is already signed to play baseball at Arkansas Tech down in Russellville. Andrew Wheeler. Biggest guys, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay, now volleyball, Liberty Mountain View. Let's welcome to the podium Coach Sherry Toon, her players Michaela Irvin and Chloe Kelly.
Good evening. Liberty Volleyball, the past 6 years, we've always been big and balanced. And last year from our Final Four team, I returned 2 players. So these 2 had a lot of pressure put on them, on their shoulders. And as you can see, these 2 are my 2 outside hitters. So the big part kind of went out the door for us this year. So it was a totally different challenge for us. Chloe here came to me at the beginning of the year and she's like, Coach, I want that starting spot. I want that starting spot. What do I need to do? And I said, Chloe, you have to be more consistent. I just need you to be more consistent and prove to me that if I'm going to sub you in for someone that, I can have faith to do that. I'll never forget we were playing Winona. Always a big rival game for us. I subbed her in. We kept getting blocked. Winona was pretty big this year. Like Chloe just swing at the ball. First ball, she goes up and has a great kill. And I'm like, whew. So that's a sigh of relief for me and for her. And I look at her and she's like, no big deal. So I was excited. She goes back to serve. She looks at me for the number. I give her the number and she serves it perfectly and gets an ace. So I was like, even better. And from that, the whole season, she never not started another game. So super proud of her. She has leaps and bounds on and off the floor. She just told me today that she worked 17 hours yesterday. She just got off work just in time to come today. That's, if you can imagine anything that anybody's went through, she's went through it, and she's nailing nails now. So super proud of her. Other one here, I told her in the spring last year, if you're following Johanna Walkup, Brinley Stearns is kind of a little bit scary, especially at 5'5". But I told her, I was like, next year is your year to shine, and we're not accepting any less. She broke Liberty records this year. She broke Brinley and Johanna's records. She brought home our SCA Player of the Year, and she broke most kills in a game with 20 for Liberty, and then she went on to break most kills in the season. So, been a great year for us. We had a not so great finish, but we got our 5th consecutive SCA championship, and it was a fun year of a lot of heart. And those coaches know that you'll take heart any day over height, and we had a lot of heart this year. Thank you.
Liberty football, Coach Darren Ackland and his players this year are Cole Orchard and Andrew Holden.
First one I'll talk about is Andrew Holden, over here to my left. Andrew is just a junior. We usually just bring seniors over here, but Andrew, very, very important player for me personally and my team. I ended up making him my captain, which again, this doesn't happen very often as underclassmen. Very high character, very coachable, pleasure to coach, look in the eye, and do a lot of things. So Andrew's very important to me, and that's why I brought him. He's first team all-conference, first team all-region, wide receiver / tight end. As you can see, he's kind of a bigger fella, so I usually don't have tight ends, but he's a tight end, and he's getting a lot of looks. He led our team with receptions, he led our team in yards, led our team in touchdowns and receptions as far as catching the football. And not only that, he's just an all-around. He's very, very important to Liberty. He plays basketball. He's been starting there for 2 years. He does track and field for me, runs the hurdles. He pitch for the baseball team. He just does it all. And so he's almost Mr. Liberty, because Mr. Liberty right now is right here. This is Cole Orchard. All absolute everything. He started at tailback and went over 200 yards 4 times. Started at quarterback in one game. He threw 4 touchdowns to almost win a game. He'll play receiver, scored 4 touchdowns in a game as a receiver. Played D-back, played D-end, played linebacker. He had to fill in a lot of different parts this year for us. Cole's been fortunate enough to play on a couple undefeated teams, a couple quarterfinalists. So I hope that he enjoyed his Liberty career. As far as personally, he's been a 2-time All-Stater. This past fall, he was named the first team All-State defensive back. Obviously, all-region, all-conference, and has been for the last 3 years. He's also a multi-sport athlete, plays basketball for us, plays baseball for us, and come and run a track and field event for me every once in a while. He's getting a lot of looks. I'm proud of him. He has a great GPA. He's got about 4 options on his table right now, and his mom and dad are really stressed out. So I'm trying to give him a little bit of experience over there and kind of help him out a little bit. So thank you, Mr. Holden, Mr. Orchard.
Okay, we don't have the Thayer girls with us tonight, but we do have Thayer boys for football. So please give a hand to the head coach of the Thayer Bobcats, Billy Weber, and his players, Dawson Russell and Remington Childers.
All right, Harlan, I sure want to appreciate you having us and also putting this on. This is a great thing for our area. Right here next to me, I have Remington Childers. On the far right is Dawson Russell. Two very good players, players and great leaders for our ball club. These guys were committed from last year at this point, all through the summer, lifting, going to practice, going to camps. These two dudes are our heart and soul of our football team, and really what made us go. They both played offensive line. Dawson was first team offensive line, played center for us. Was conference lineman of the year. Remington made first team defensive line, and then they were both all area, where Remington made co-defensive player of the year. Both these guys were second team all-state players. And to look at them, you'd say, well, offensive line, they're a little thin, little thin hip to really play there. But I'm telling you, week in, week out, these guys competed, and both of them played D-line as well, so they were pulling double duty for us, which is just what we do. We don't have many two or one-way players there, but these guys did an outstanding job competing against larger guys. As you see, Coach Aries got a big one in Mr. Simpson there. And we didn't see guys quite his caliber all season, but when we went to Ava, we saw some big dudes that could flat, pull, and run, and these guys competed, didn't do as well as what we needed to at Ava, but week in, week out, these guys really gave it their all and did a great job. We ended up with these guys blocking up front, ended up with one running back having almost 1,800 yards. That is a big accomplishment for these guys, for him to have avenues to run. Both these guys were at the top of our team in tackles. I think Rim was number 2 in tackles, Dawson probably 3 or 4. Had a tremendous amount of tackles for loss. And, I'm not sure what we're going to do without them next year, but give these guys a great hand.
We've gone in a certain order the last couple of years. We went from A to Zizzer the first year, then we reversed it. This year we're just kind of all over the place. So let's welcome to the podium Kabul Volleyball. Coach Katie Shockley. Her players are Caitlin Beller and Jadra Johnson.
Really excited to see these girls weren't wearing heels tonight. You can tell these obviously aren't my defensive specialists. These two ladies, Miss Junior Jadra Johnson and my senior Caitlin Beller, they're receiving this honor tonight for the outstanding job that they did for the Kabul Bulldogs on and off the volleyball court. We had another successful year. We went 18-12. We fell short of our goal at districts, going 3 hard-fought sets with Willow in the district finals, but unfortunately the downside of one-person season is the highlight of ours. In second round, we defeated Liberty in 3 sets. It was a great year. I thank these ladies for the hard work that they put in for their season. But first, I'd like to talk about Miss Jadra Johnson. She has been our starting middle at Kabul since her freshman year. She has led as our offensive player of the year the last 2 years. She had 156 kills for the year and a 41% kill percentage. She is dominant across the front, whether she's blocking the ball or whether she's swinging at her opponents. She averaged 7.8 blocks per year. She's done a great job as a junior, and we're really looking forward to what she has to offer for the Cool Bulldogs. She walked away this year with first team all-district honors and first team all-SCA. Our senior we have here this evening is Caitlin Beller, and she has been playing varsity for several years herself. When I watched her freshman and sophomore year, she was swinging the ball. She was just really figuring out what she needed to do on the front row, and I really joked that I really didn't expect to see her playing all the way around. But this girl worked her tail end off, and she was one of my most outstanding players in any position, whether it was front row or back row. They found her with the ball. She ended up with 148 kills for the season. Did a great job. Was a threat, whether she was in the front row or the back row. She had a 95% serving percentage, and honestly was one of our best back row defenders. They've done a great job. She walked away with second team all-SCA honors and has been a great captain on and off the court. As much as she hated waking up, she was there in the mornings for our off season, and whether we were warming up or running at the end of practice or in the middle of the game, she truly embodied what it meant to be a captain leading her team. And I thank her for that, and I thank both the girls for the great year that we had.
Thank you, ladies, and now let's move on to Kabul football. I asked Katie if Greg was here because I didn't see him, but he is here, so let's please welcome to the podium the head football coach at Kabul High School, Coach Greg O'Connor, and his players are Kenton Kuntz and Josh Reese.
I want to thank Harlan again and the radio station for putting this on. It's a great way to recognize our young student athletes. To my far left is Kenton Kuntz, and right here is Josh Reese. These two young men, I've been this my fourth year at Kabul, second year as head coach, and they've been the two mainstays. It's no secret we struggled, but it's not because of these two guys here. You couldn't ask for two better competitors. You couldn't ask for two guys that have heart and guts. And they are what Coach Weber said. These guys were the ones that made us go. They were both voted captain for our football team. Josh, as far as summer workouts since I've been head coach, has not missed a single day. Kenton is just an animal on his own in the weight room. They fought through injuries. Kenton, they both played as freshmen. Josh has started since he was a sophomore on both sides of the ball. Kenton got hurt his freshman year, about halfway through, hurt his shoulder. In the spring of that year, he tore his ACL, missed his sophomore year. Only got to play about half of his junior year, and this year finally got to make it through the whole season. But to do that, he had to come to the sidelines about twice a game to pop his shoulder back in place, and I'm not exaggerating. And that's toughness when you're a run back and taking hits on that. He rushed for just a little over 1,000 yards this year, and most of that came behind Josh's side for the offensive line. Both excellent students. I believe Josh is going to SEMO. I think right now he's planning on going into education. And then Ken is planning on going to being a physical therapist, which he probably has at least a quarter of what he needs to do. He's had plenty of it. They were both second team all-SCA. They were second team all Southwest Missouri. They were all district. And I couldn't ask for two better kids to have coached for the last 4 years. They were the heart and soul of our team, and I really do not know what I'm going to do next year without having these two to call upon for leadership. So these are our two representatives, Ken Kuntz and Josh Reese.
Okay, let's move over to Mountain Home Bomber Volleyball. And it's a pleasure to welcome to the podium Coach Lindsay Leonard, her players Mally Tabor and Hannah Pfeiffer.
Thank you for involving us, and even though we're down in Arkansas, we're not too far away. I'll start with Hannah. Hannah is one of our 3 seniors, and most people in our community know Hannah as a basketball player. In fact, this past week, she verbally committed to College of the Ozarks. She's a phenomenal basketball player, but in 3 years, she became a phenomenal volleyball player. And what I loved about Hannah is basketball is definitely her favorite sport, but when it was volleyball season, that was her #1. And she's an extremely high character kid, and I'll talk a little bit about both of them together in just a second. Mally is, I'll be honest with you, she's done about anything and everything you can do in volleyball. She's all state, she's all conference. Her senior year, she had 225 kills. I'm not sure how many blocks she had, but she had a lot. But since her sophomore year, she has impacted our program. We've had over 60 wins in 3 years, and Mally is a huge reason as to why we won those 60 games. When you, as a coach, you have that list of characters that you want in your leaders, and I can tell you that Mally was a phenomenal leader, and she would, every characteristic you need in a leader, Mally had that. Personally, these two have impacted me in ways that they will never know, and I am going to miss them. I don't know what we're going to do without them next year, but Hannah and Mally, I love you, and thank you so much for giving all that you did to our volleyball program.
Before we get to Mountain Home football, I want to mention that on these plaques you'll see under where it says Platinum Sponsors, it says Monty's Outdoors and C&K Clothing, Ozark Tire Centers, Ozark's Medical Center, Orthopedic Center, and Ozark's Medical Center Rehabilitation Services. They are Platinum Sponsors, which means these people stepped up in a huge way in order to help us have this banquet. So we wanted to say a big thank you to all of them for that. And also, the person principally responsible for getting this whole thing put together, who has done this almost by herself, and has done a fantastic job with it. You have no idea the stress involved here. But she has done a great job. And we want to say a big thank you from the Ozark Radio Network and our sales team leader, Crystal Cook. Give Crystal a hand. Bomber football. Let's welcome to the podium. Before I do this, Brian Maddox is the head football coach at Mountain Home. Well, Brian had never been to this before, so I was trying to get hold of him. I didn't want to necessarily email, I wanted to talk to him so I could explain it. I knew Lindsay would help as much as she could. But I got Brian's phone number, got his cell number, and I was told the perfect time of the day to call him. I called him the same time every day for about 2 weeks. He never answered his phone. And so, after a little while, with Lindsay's help, finally one day he answered the phone. I said, I can't believe I'm actually speaking to you. He said, let me explain. I said, all right. He said, you have a familiar phone number that comes up on my phone. I thought you were a telemarketer. I said, no, I don't even have any timeshares in Branson to offer you, Brian. I just wanted you to come to our little banquet. He could not be here tonight, but in his place, and I was very excited to find out that the namesake of one of my childhood heroes, Jerry West, was going to be here tonight. Not quite the same, but we're happy to have assistant coach Jerry West here, and I think we only have one of the players here tonight, but chosen were Isaac McKay and Luke Foreman.
quite an introduction. I'd like to thank the Ozark Radio Network for inviting these kids, these Ozark kids, to be here tonight and to recognize their performance. Again, Isaac couldn't be here tonight, but Isaac was he was a first-team all-conference quarterback, first co-offensive or co-outstanding quarterback, 3-year letterman, all-conference academic team. He rushed for over 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. The second half of the season, because of injuries, he had to play safety for us. Had 14 tackles, 1 fumble recovery. He's leading rusher on the football team last year, leading rusher on the football team this year, and selected All-State. Isaac aspires to be an engineer and will be enrolling in college. Luke Foreman is here. Luke was our second kid that was nominated. Luke is a 3-year letterman, 3-year starter, 2-way starter, 2-year all-conference, 6A East all-conference tight end defensive end, 6A East co-outstanding tight end. Luke led the team with tackles, 63 tackles, 4 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 2 pass breakups. Luke was voted team captain by his teammates and received Outstanding Player Award last year that was voted on by the coaching staff. Luke exhibits all those positive character traits that we talk about on a regular basis. He's a hard-working, consistent, dedicated young man. He's faced real-life perseverance and real-life situations and persevered on and off the field. Luke is going to Arkansas Tech, where he will continue to persevere, and he'll continue to exhibit those positive character traits and be a success. I love you, man.
Okay, next up, Highland High School. Volleyball, the head coach is Tiffany Kirkwright. Their players are Amber Christensen and Ashley Gallagher.
Hi, I want to say thank you for inviting us down from Arkansas as well. This is my first year coaching high school volleyball, and I definitely couldn't ask for a better team to come into. This year we only had one senior, Amber Christensen. She wasn't able to be here tonight, but she finished first in district in hitting with 170 kills, second in district for aces with 48 aces, and first in district in blocks with 35 blocks. This was Highland's first year to finish above 500. We went 11-9 for the season, and a lot of that had to do with this girl that is here, Ashley Gallagher. She was our libero for the season. She came in and she welcomed me, and she realized that she could play a lot harder than she thought she could before, and learned to go for every ball. She ended up with 327 serving receptions, and of those she only made 46 errors. For libero, I couldn't ask better for that, especially not having the training that she should have had. She also finished third in district with 49 digs. She got voted as co-captain for our senior year next year. We'll have 6 seniors, and we're looking forward to what happens. So thank you.
Rebel football time. Let's have Coach Adam Carter and his players, Ben Paul and Bryce Ingram.
Thank you guys for having us again. I'm going to visit about these guys for just a quick second. This is Ben Paul here and Bryce Ingram on the outside there. These two guys are seniors. They've been with me since 7th grade. I'm surprised they hung out that long, but they stayed with us a little while. We talked about adversity. We started out the very first quarter of the year and lost our All-State quarterback. I go to the sideline, talk to them. These two guys right here said, "Hey, we're not going to lay down. We're not going to quit. Let's go." Week 6, we lose another quarterback. Go to the sideline. I said, "Fellas," they took over the sideline for me. I figured out what we had to do. We moved on. The next week, we lose another quarterback with a broken ankle. The next week, I put a fullback at quarterback. They jumped on. They said, "Let's go, coach. Let's do this." Week 9, 10, and 11, we had a freshman. So we had 5 different quarterbacks through the season. And with these two right here, we wouldn't have made it through. I wouldn't have made it through. I couldn't be more proud of these two guys. Both of them are all-conference football players for us. Both of them are two-way starters. Bryce started at Mike linebacker. Ben was right beside him. They accounted for over 90 tackles each on the season. They led with, this one doesn't talk much, if you can't tell. This one right here led by example. I'm very proud of the way he led by example. The younger guys who watched him throughout the season, like, that's who they want to be like. We've already talked about it in the offseason. We want to be able to play like Ben played, because when Ben hit you, you knew it. Bryce, same way. Bryce had a little bit more of a mouth on him than the other, but Bryce was a good leader also by example. You know, I could sit up here all day and talk about these guys. I'd take them home with me if I could. I'm very proud of them. Don't know how I'm going to replace them. But without boring you guys, I'm just very proud of these two guys right here, and they're very deserving of the honor.
Houston High School volleyball coach Lauren Richardson, and her lone representative tonight is Brooke McCown.
This is Brooke McCown. I chose just to bring one player. I actually had 3 seniors. But I've only had the pleasure to coach Brooke for 2 years. I wasn't at Houston for 2 years. And last year she was my blonde. We'll say that. I never knew what Brooke was gonna come out of her mouth. But this year she has really blossomed into a great leader for me, a great example for my younger players, and really turned into a great volleyball player. She led our team in kills. Was second in passing rating. A lot of times was our dig leader. Ended up second team all conference. Academic all state last year, and probably will be again this year. So she's very smart, even though sometimes she doesn't act like it. But she's been a great leader, and I'm very proud of her and the things that she has done for our program.
And before I forget it, when we're done, before you leave, we would like to have all the athletes gather over there against the wall, and Ed Button is going to take a nice group photo with all of them. So please do that before you leave. Houston football, Coach Eric Sloan. His players are Michael Clayton and Peyton Dixon.
I want to start out echoing these other coaches, thanking Ozark Radio Network for allowing us to come down here. I think this is great for our athletes in Southwest Missouri to get some recognition. I think this is great for kids. Michael Clayton here, he's a senior. Hayden Dixon is a junior. Been with me the last 3 years. Big Mike plays tight end, defensive end for us, led our team in receptions. Put his hand in the dirt, we'd run his direction, and pretty big and is physical. So did a very nice job for us. First team all conference, first team all district, all Southwest Missouri selection. Just did everything you asked him to do. Both of these kids are multi-sport athletes. They make good grades. They don't act like idiots in the hallways. Like any other coach in here, if you're a coach and you have kids, my kids are around the program every day, and these guys are kid magnets. I feel confident my kids can be around these guys and they're not going to do something where I have to answer a question at home about what did he mean when he said. So that's always nice. And just to echo what he said a while ago, I mean, little kids are always looking at athletes. They notice every little thing. Peyton's the point guard on a basketball team. Real early last night, he shot the ball. He doesn't ever shoot the ball. He's a true point guard, and wants his teammates to be a little too involved, I think. But anyway, he shot the ball right off the bat, and then my son said, Dad, did you see that? Peyton actually shot the ball. So they do notice. They notice everything. Peyton started for us the tail end of his freshman year at quarterback. Great athlete, our best athlete this year. At about the midway point of the season, our offense was stagnant. We couldn't run the football at all. I asked him what his thoughts were to move to the running back position. He did that the last 4 games. When he took over at running back, he was at about negative 50 yards rushing because he'd taken some sacks. He ends up and goes for about 850 yards in the last 4 games, scores 16 touchdowns. So probably if he had had a little better football coach early in the season, he could have done some really nice things. But both these guys are class act, do everything the right way, and I'm proud to say they're Houston Tigers.
All right, we're getting close to the end here. We've held the Bears to last. And we'll start with the Ava Bears. The volleyball team not represented tonight. The football team is. Let's have to the podium Coach Daniel Swafford and players Connor Moran and Stephen Copeland.
All right, well, I just want to echo what a lot of people said about what we're doing here tonight. I think it's awesome what we have here in Southwest Missouri. In this area, I'm just going to talk about football. I think our football is awesome. And I'm not just saying that about my program or what, everybody, even the teams that are not as successful as they'd like to be. They are heads and tails above a lot of programs in the state of Missouri. So anyway, that's a great honor for us. I've been sitting there thinking about what to say, and here's what I'll tell you. We were 12-1 this year. We were 53 yards from shocking the world when we played Lamar, the 6-time world champion. State champion. Yes, it might as well be. It's right. But we had a chance to win it, and that was going into a game wondering if we were going to get a first down or ever be able to stop it. Just one of those nights. But anyway, great year. And with that said, I don't have a guy that will play college football. Okay? And I think and I want to say that because, I think that's what's great about football is that it's a situation where you take a bunch of guys that work together, they can get a lot of great things done. And I've had more talented teams in the past than this year's team. But this group of guys worked wonderful together. They were great to coach. They were just, don't get me wrong, we had our ups and downs, but they were just guys that were passionate about what they were doing and they were selfish. And if you're an athlete, I want you to hear that tonight, is that if you want to be selfish, then then sport is not the place for you. Okay, it's a team game, and that brings me to these two guys. These two guys are why I picked them. I had lots of guys I felt like I could have brought,
It's always kind of a challenge because I don't know who to bring to these things. And the first one here, Connor Moran, here to my left. Connor, he received some awards this year, but not, he's not a guy that's going to have a lot of yards, but he was the unsung hero of our team. He was a great blocker. He was completely unselfish. He played JV until his senior year, okay? And you know what? A lot of kids don't like to do that. There's an ego involved, and they don't think they're good. They're too good to play JV. That guy made it fun, and I think that is key to his success his senior year. And completely unselfish, a great blocker, and then ends up running the football and scores in our last game. He's one of the few people that can say, hey, I ran a touchdown against Lamar, and that guy did it right there. And so, I just wanted to honor him tonight by bringing him with us and saying thank you. The other guy is Stephen Copeland. Stephen's in the blue shirt there. Stephen's a junior. He had a lot of yards this year. For us, we spread our offense around a lot where we have a lot of different guys that get the ball. He had 13 touchdowns, 1,300 yards rushing, and I think, I should have wrote this down, I want to say 300 or 400 yards of catching the football, maybe more than that. But he is an outstanding football player. Both guys are tracksters that compete all spring long. Stevens, we like to tease him that he was the second fastest guy in the school, next to an offensive lineman or little things like that. But he doesn't take that very well, if you can tell by the look on his face. He's very fast. He ran in the state meet, and we're hoping to get him there into the finals this year. He just continues to get better. Both young men are extremely, they work extremely hard in the weight room, and they have fun wherever they're at. And thank you guys for representing us tonight. Thank you very much.
Okay, and down to our last school. I told her when we got started that I would buy her as much time as I could. We can't wait any longer. I mean, this is pretty much it. Willow Springs volleyball. Let's welcome to the podium Coach Megan James and Lilia Dudko.
This year was a good year for Bears volleyball. We finished our season 21-11-5. We were the district champions for the first time in 17 years. So I had a good group of kids, and they worked really hard and played really well together. Tonight I have with me Lilia Dudko. She was my middle blocker, middle hitter. She did a phenomenal job, whether she was hitting or she put up a big block that really started our defense and helped our defense. She finished the season with 139 kills, 74 blocks, which is very good. We're going to miss her next year. She's a great leader, and I'm really proud of her.
I don't know if she's not here, but I don't know if I mentioned or not, but the other player that was chosen to represent Willow Springs this year was Caitlin Perkins. So congratulations to her as well. And finally, head coach of the Willow Springs Bears football team is Logan Schwalem, and his players are Sam Cheney and Zeke Webb.
Just like the other coaches said, thanks Harlan and Ozark Radio Network for putting this on. This is great for the kids and great recognition for these guys. These two guys I have up here, Zeke Webb and Sam Cheney, these are two of the 5 seniors that I had. It's my third year at Willow, but first as a head coach. We only had 5 seniors, and like I said, these were the two. These 2 were voted captains for their team. Whenever there was summer, we had a bunch of sticky situations and ran into a little bit of turmoil and adversity. But these guys, these guys are 2 guys I can definitely count on all year long in our program. They've been in our program for 4 years. This year, both of these guys played offensive line and defensive line. They were all conference, all Southwest Missouri, and Zeke even got an all-state recognition as a punter. But like I said, they both played offensive line and defensive line. Sam did a great job. I asked him to sacrifice a little bit of ego and play a different position this year than what he did. He was a skilled guy. We moved him to offensive line, and he done a tremendous job. Zeke done a tremendous job, just like Sam did all year long on the offensive line and defensive line. These guys were both voted captains, like I said earlier. They're both good students, great students in my book. They're both multi-sport athletes. Sam plays basketball and runs track, or he did last year, and then Zeke runs track a little bit too, throws in track. Like I said, thanks for having us, and these guys are very deserving of these awards, and love you guys and wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
Okay, let's have a hand for all of the athletes that are here tonight. You are all just awesome. Thank you all very much, and thanks to all the coaches for bringing them here tonight. This section is what this is all about for all these kids. Now this is the end of it, and this is sort of the gravy section. So for fun. When we started doing this, it was suggested to me that, like, I guess maybe it was the second year, that let's have co-players of the year. And I said, no, let's not do that. Let's pick somebody and just go with it. And so that lasted a year. We have co-players of the year for volleyball and football this year. So that's all right. First of all, volleyball, co-players of the year. Our first player of the year has helped lead this team back. It was a dominant team for many, many years. But as was pointed out, it's been several years since they were able to attain the status that was similar to what they had many years ago. And she is definitely a leader on the team. They lost a key person or two this year, but kept right on chugging along and got trapped in one of the worst districts I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, there was nowhere to run and nowhere to hide, and it just kind of worked out that way. But this player was a definite leader for her team, and was a great example for the players that are around her, and was a big part of the success of her ball club. So let's congratulate our first volleyball player of the year from West Plains High School, Kelly Wiedemann. This was an unreal year for volleyball. I mean, for the teams and the players involved in this thing. And you could take a group out of this bunch and go somewhere and just play people, and you could have some real fun. This player, though, we selected because over the course of time, over the last 3 years, has been an excellent player. Has gotten better each year. An all-state player, but fits that criteria that I was talking about earlier. And it's always fun to be able to give special recognition to someone like that. And so it's our great pleasure to name our co-player of the year in volleyball from Mountain Home High School, Mally Tabor. For our volleyball coach of the year, does anyone remember what they were doing 18 years ago? Who knows? Worried about Y2K, whatever. That was a long time ago. And in that course of time, a lot of things have happened, but one thing that hadn't happened is this team had not won their district in volleyball going back to, I think it was 1998, something like that. But anyway, it's our great pleasure tonight to congratulate them. They have been kind of knocking on the door, and they finally got through it, made it to the state playoffs this year. A great achievement, and they say good things are worth waiting for, and I assume that this was for Willow Springs High School. And our coach of the year is Megan James. Okay, our first football player of the year for this year. I was trying to think of something to compare it to, but you go back many years in football and certain players did everything, literally everything. They never came off the field. They were out there from the time the ball was kicked off. The only rest they got was at halftime. And we got a guy like that here tonight that we are. Not only did he put up crazy figures offensively this year. He played every position, but he may have been a better defensive back than anything. Who knows? But he is certainly epitomizes the title of all-around player. Not just an all-around player. He is good. So let's have a hand for our co-football player of the year, Mr. Cole Orchard from Liberty. Okay, our other football player of the year is, it's kind of unique. We so often, you know, what they call the skill players are the ones that get all the attention. But if you'll ever notice in a football game, if you'll see somebody running down the field, waving at the girls as they go, and the crowd screams, if you look back the other way, there's probably a guy laying face down in the dirt with one of his tackles standing over him, because that's why he's able to run down the field like that. We had some representatives here tonight who are terrific players on both sides of the ball. Very seldom do we get to honor the guys that, as they say, do the heavy lifting up front. But tonight we have that opportunity, and I asked several coaches as we were preparing for this, I asked them about this young man, and the response was just pretty much the same across the board. They all said, oh yeah, that's a solid pick. Our other solid pick is from Thayer High School. Have a hand for Dawson Russell. Once again, please, all the players, hang around here. We're going to take a group photo when we're all done. Then we'll call it a night. Finally, we got our football coach of the year. And there's two coaches in here that have been playing football since I started broadcasting football. And this young fella, I don't know how old he is, doesn't matter. But he was a very good player at Mountain Grove High School, and has turned into an excellent football coach. And sometimes the mantle of expectations are tough to live up to. Going into this year, a lot of people expected his team to be good. Well, now go do it. Well, they did it. And they almost beat arguably the best football team in the state of Missouri in the state playoffs. So it's a great honor to congratulate and give our Football Coach of the Year award this year to Mr. Daniel Swafford from Ava High School.